The evening was set to be perfect. Candlelit dinner, an elegant rooftop venue, the soft hum of jazz playing in the background. It was our 5th wedding anniversary, and my husband Daniel had gone all out. Champagne chilling, a velvet box peeking from his pocket, and that guilty trying to be romantic look on his face. I was soaking it all in, letting myself believe that after a rocky year, maybe, just maybe, things were finally back on track. And then she walked in. Not just walked, she strutted. A woman I had never seen before, but immediately despised, stood at the entrance of the restaurant, her high heels clicking against the marble floor, her figure-hugging dress emphasizing a swollen, unmistakable belly. She didn't look at me. She looked straight at Daniel. And then, with a smirk that made my blood turn to ice, she held up a champagne glass, clinked it with a fork, and loudly announced to the entire restaurant, "Surprise, honey! We're having a baby." The world tilted. I heard gasps. I saw heads turning. I felt every single ounce of blood drain from my body. And Daniel? His face turned as white as the tablecloth in front of us. It was like time had slowed. I could see his throat move as he swallowed, his fingers twitching slightly as they hovered near his wineglass. For a moment, no one spoke. Then I laughed. A short, disbelieving, almost hysterical laugh. Because this had to be a joke, right? Right? "Daniel?" I said, my voice eerily calm. "Tell me she's crazy." He didn't answer. The mistress, because at this point, what else could she be, walked closer, placing a manicured hand on her belly like she was the goddamn Virgin Mary. "Oh, he's not going to deny it, sweetie," she cooed. "He's been paying for my doctor's visits. My cravings? He's been handling those too." She gave him a look that sent a new wave of nausea crashing through me. "And just last week," she added, smirking, "he promised to take care of us both. Didn't you, babe?" I had never wanted to throw a glass of wine in someone's face so badly. Daniel, the love of my life, the man I had sacrificed so much for, the one who begged for another chance when I found flirty texts on his phone just months ago. He still didn't say a damn word. The restaurant staff looked like they wanted to disappear. The waiter hovering near our table literally backed away. But my silence wasn't submission. No, I was calculating. See, the thing about me? I don't lose. And Daniel had no idea what was coming next. I turned to the mistress, tilting my head as I took her in. Young, pretty, but something was off. She had the smugness of someone who thought they had the upper hand, but there was a nervous edge behind her confidence. "That's cute," I said sweetly. "But I think you should sit down. You look like you're about to pass out." Her face twisted in confusion. And then, without breaking eye contact, I pulled my phone from my purse and hit play. A recording of Daniel's voice, saying words that made my heart ache but my revenge sweeter. "This baby? Pfft. I'll pay her off. She thinks she's special, but she's just another mistake. My wife will never find out. She's too naive for that." Dead silence. Daniel's face crumbled. "And the mistress?" she gasped, looking at him in horror. "What?" she whispered. I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. "Oh, honey, you thought you were the only one being lied to?" She staggered. Daniel finally found his voice. "Babe, let me explain." No, please do." I smiled. "Explain to your pregnant mistress why you were planning to dump her the moment she gave birth. I'm sure she'd love to hear it." I could see her world shattering in real time. Tears welled up in her eyes as she turned to Daniel. "Tell me that's not true. Tell me you weren't just using me." Daniel opened his mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. But no words came out. The entire restaurant was still watching, people whispering, some recording. I stood up, tossing my napkin onto the table. "Here's what's going to happen, Danny boy. You're going to pay for her hospital bills because unlike you, I'm not a complete monster. And then, you're never going to see me again." I slid the divorce papers I had prepared weeks ago onto the table. His eyes widened in horror. You already knew?" I smirked. "Oh, babe." I leaned in, whispering just loud enough for both him and his mistress to hear. "I knew before you did." With that, I picked up my purse, turned on my heel, and walked out, leaving my husband and his pregnant mistress to deal with the wreckage of their own making. The restaurant buzzed with whispers. Eyes burned into my back as I strode out, but I didn't care. I walked out with my head high, heels clicking against the pavement like the final nails in Daniel's coffin. I could still hear the pregnant mistress's shaky voice behind me, demanding an answer from my soon-to-be ex-husband. Tell me it's not true, Daniel. Tell me she's lying. I didn't stay to hear his excuse. I already knew how this game played out. Men like him never have just one lie. They layer them like bricks, building an empire of deceit until it all crumbles. And oh, was it crumbling. As I stepped into my Uber, my phone vibrated. A text. Unknown number. You think you've won? You have no idea what's coming. I stared at the message. Was it Daniel? The mistress? Someone else? I smirked, typing back. Me, then bring it on, sweetheart, because if they thought I was done, they didn't know me at all. 3 days passed. I was already halfway into packing my things when the headlines started popping up. Billionaire Daniel Carter's marriage ends in explosive anniversary disaster. Pregnant side chick exposes business mogul but gets played in the process. Leaked audio shows Daniel's true colors. She's just another mistake. Oh, it was delicious. The internet was having a field day. My DMs were flooded with strangers calling me a queen, a savage, an inspiration to women everywhere. Even a celebrity reposted my story with the caption, "Sis is the new CEO of Petty." But while I basked in my new status as the internet's latest revenge icon, something dark was brewing. The mistress wasn't taking the L quietly. She started making Instagram posts. First, it was pictures of her stomach, captioned, "My baby doesn't deserve this." Then, a video, with fake tears glistening in her eyes as she sniffled. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just wanted my child to have a father. But some people, they want to destroy lives. Oh, honey. She was trying to turn me into the villain? I almost laughed. But then a new text. Unknown number, I warned you. Now watch me ruin you. And that's when I realized this wasn't over. A week later, I received a court summons. Daniel's pregnant side chick was suing me for emotional distress. I nearly dropped my phone. That sneaky little, I took a deep breath, gripping my lawyer's desk so hard my nails nearly cracked. My lawyer, Olivia, a badass with a Harvard degree and a stare that could melt titanium, leaned back in her chair and smirked. "This is textbook manipulation," she said, flipping through the papers. "She's trying to make you look like a bitter wife who bullied a poor pregnant woman." I scoffed. "She announced her affair at my anniversary dinner." "And you leaked the audio," Olivia reminded me. I paused. Touche. Daniel was probably behind this, desperate to flip the narrative before the divorce took everything. But I wasn't going down without a fight. "You think she actually has a case?" I asked. Olivia shrugged. "With the right PR, maybe. But don't worry, I've got a plan." "A plan?" Oh, I liked the sound of that. While Olivia worked her legal magic, I started digging. See, something about Miss Homewrecker Extraordinaire didn't sit right with me. She had been too confident at the restaurant, too smug. Like she thought she had everything under control. So I hired a private investigator. And oh, did he deliver. The mistress, whose name by the way was Natasha, had another man. Not just any man, a wealthy tech CEO. And she had been seeing him at the same time as Daniel. Holy hell. Daniel wasn't just not the father. She didn't even know who the father was. I laughed so hard I nearly cried. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered, staring at the report. But the best part? Daniel had no clue. Yet. And oh, I was going to make sure he found out in the most humiliating way possible. The next morning, I made some arrangements. Natasha had planned a dramatic tell-all interview about her pain and betrayal. So I sent a little anonymous tip to a reporter. And just as Natasha was preparing to cry on live TV, the tech CEO showed up. Live, with a paternity test. The anchor looked like she was about to pass out. "Sir, what is this?" "This," he said, holding up the envelope, "is proof that I, not Daniel Carter, am the father of this child." The camera cut to Natasha, whose face drained of color so fast she looked like she might faint. "Daniel?" He was watching from the audience. And when he stood up, pointed at Natasha and shouted, "You conniving little, oh baby." The internet exploded. Within hours, Daniel released a statement, officially confirming that he had been played. The lawsuit? Dropped. The public? Now roasting Natasha like a Thanksgiving turkey. And me? I booked a first-class flight to the Maldives with a mimosa in hand and a $3 million divorce settlement pending in my account. Life was good. But something still nagged at me. Daniel might have been defeated, but I knew men like him didn't go down this easily. And I was right. Because just when I thought it was over, I received a final message. From Daniel himself. "Daniel, you won this round. But you should know something, sweetheart. I frowned, sipping my mimosa as I read. Daniel, you're not the only one who's been keeping secrets. My blood ran cold. What the hell was that supposed to mean? I stared at Daniel's message, my heart pounding. What the hell did he mean? I knew Daniel was a liar, but this felt different. For the first time since this war began, I felt a flicker of doubt. Could I have missed something? I clenched my jaw and typed back. Me. Spit it out, Daniel. I don't have time for your games. Oh, but you do, sweetheart, because this one is about you. I rolled my eyes. Typical. If you're trying to scare me, you're wasting your breath. Check your email. A notification popped up before I could even process what he said. I hesitated. Then, with a deep breath, I tapped the email, and what I saw made my blood run cold. There, attached to the email, were documents. Bank statements, signed agreements, a trust fund I had never seen before. And the recipient? Me. The sender, Daniel, and my father. I covered my mouth, my stomach twisting into a knot. No, because if this was real, it meant one thing. My marriage to Daniel? It wasn't just a love story gone wrong, it had been a deal, a transaction made before I even knew the truth, and my father had been in on it. I couldn't breathe. I read the documents over and over again, hoping I'd somehow misunderstood. But the numbers didn't lie. My father had paid Daniel, a multi-million-dollar deal, and the contract was dated 1 month before our wedding. No, I whispered. I needed answers. Now. I grabbed my phone and dialed the one person who could explain. My mother. She picked up on the third ring. Sweetheart, why are you calling so? Did Dad pay Daniel to marry me? I cut her off, my voice shaking. A heavy silence. Mom. My hands trembled. Tell me the truth. She exhaled sharply. It was complicated. Complicated? I choked out a laugh. He bought my husband, Mom. She hesitated. Your father wanted to protect you. From what? She sighed. From being cut out of the family fortune. My stomach dropped. You were supposed to marry someone wealthy to secure the inheritance, she continued, her voice full of regret. Your father thought Daniel was a safe bet. Tears burned my eyes. So my whole marriage was a lie. Mom sniffled. It wasn't supposed to be. He thought. I ended the call. I didn't need to hear more, because in that moment, I realized I was never Daniel's wife. I was just part of his portfolio, and I was about to burn it to the ground. If Daniel thought he could destroy me with this secret, he was dead wrong. I wiped my tears. Then I made a call. Olivia, I said, how do you feel about setting up one last game? My lawyer grinned through the phone. Oh, sweetheart, I live for revenge. By the next morning, the plan was in motion. First, I had Daniel followed. Every move, every call, every shady business meeting, I knew. And what I found, oh, it was better than I imagined. Daniel wasn't just a cheater. He was broke. Every lavish dinner, every expensive car, it was a front. He had been siphoning money from his own company, using Natasha's drama as a distraction. And now I had proof. It was time for the final blow. Daniel had a huge investors' gala that night. It was supposed to be a celebration of his success. Instead, it would be his funeral. I walked into the ballroom, my heels clicking against the marble floor. Heads turned. Daniel's eyes widened in shock. I raised my champagne glass. Daniel, darling. My voice dripped with sweet poison. Then I snapped my fingers, a projector screen dropped down, and suddenly, his financial crimes were displayed for everyone to see. Gasps filled the room. Investors stood up, furious. And Daniel? He went pale. You little... Ah! I cut him off, sipping my drink. I leaned in close and whispered, consider this my divorce gift. Then I turned and walked away as the press swarmed him like vultures. By the next morning, Daniel's empire was in ruins. Billionaire Daniel Carter caught in fraud scandal. Ex-wife destroys him, the ultimate revenge. Daniel Carter arrested for embezzlement. I smirked at the headlines. Good. I wasn't just walking away. I was making sure he'd never recover. And Natasha? She tried to disappear. But unfortunately for her, the internet never forgets. Her scandal followed her everywhere. No billionaire would ever trust her again. For the first time in years, I felt free. I traveled. I built my own business. And when my father tried to apologize, I cut him off. If he thought I needed his money, he was wrong. Because I was richer than ever. Not just in money, but in power. And self-respect. 6 months later, I was at a private beach villa, sipping a cocktail. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Still miss me? I rolled my eyes. Daniel. Even after his downfall, he still thought he had power over me. I blocked his number, and with a smirk I turned off my phone, letting the ocean breeze carry away the last traces of my past. Because this was my new beginning, and I was just getting started. If you like this story, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for more captivating tales.